one of my shops. The guy I bought it off of, he lived in the country, and he was a one-man shop. And he had this 56 Chevy sitting out in a sheep lot. Anyway, he painted it with a brush to keep it from rusting anymore, and it did. No floors.
Right.
From door to door, floors was gone, inner rockers was gone, outer rockers was gone, and all the braces was gone. Underneath the deck lid is the gas tank, and it was all rotted out, and the top of the gas tank was gone. It was all rotted out. And I said, what are you going to do with that? He said, I'm going to sell that to you. I ended up buying it, and boy, my wife, she got after me big time when I drug that thing home. Well, you've done went crazy. Yeah, okay. I went crazy. It took me 15 years to build the car. And I've owned the car for over 40 years. And I hate to see it go, but that's what happens when you get old. You have to give up a lot of things. And I'll miss it, but it's no big deal. Yeah, they used to call me Bumper Joe.
How'd you get the name Bumper Joe?
Well, I used to sell bumpers and paint, and they called me Bumper Joe.
You painted buses in the military, right?
Yeah, I painted everything in the military. I learned in Rome, New York. I was in a missile squadron, and my boss said, you ever painted before? I said, no, sir. He said, well, you're going to learn. He said, I don't care how it looks. I just don't want it rusty. So he gives me this paint gun. He said, you think you can make this thing work? I said, I don't know, I can try. I took it all apart, put some air to it, and I took each knob and turned it to see what it'd do. You know, oh, that's neat. You know? That's all I knew. So I started painting these trailers and tugs, and they didn't care how bad they looked, you know, as long as they weren't rusty. And I got pretty good at it. And he said, you think you can paint a truck? And I painted it, and they gave me an airman of the quarter for painting that, and they took a picture of me and everything. It was neat. I painted it beautiful, you know, so that's where I learned. And then pretty soon, when I lost my job, I said, I told her, I said, I might as well just do this full time. You know, claim it as a job. So I did for a couple of years.
Cars in general.
I don't know, just nuts. I started doing that when I was like 15. And a couple neighbor kids, same way. We started tinkering with them and messing with them and learning about them. And my dad had a fit when I tore that 51 Pontiac apart. You'd take all the chrome off and throw it away, and the hood ornament that lit up, and I'd love to have that back. That thing's worth a lot of money. What'd I do with it? Throw it away. Take all that chrome off, the door handles, throw them away. And I didn't have money to paint, so I primered it. White primer. And them knobs, I don't know if you notice them knobs on the dash, or teardrop, and they're red and white. Well, back when I was a kid in the 50s, that's what we could afford. They was only like 39 cents a piece, you know.
Right.
Well, you could get a can of spray and spray your dash and then put them knobs on there and you're cool, you know. Get you some fuzzy dice and you don't have to spend a lot of money. And back then, you took your hubcaps off and threw them away, and you painted your rims black. Or if you had a little money, you got baby moons and put on there. And if you had a little more money, you bought them Dodge Lancers. 1956 and 1959 they made them, in the Dodge Lancer. Them Dodge Lancers I wanted real bad, and they made an aftermarket, but they were just chromed, and they weren't chromed that good, and they rusted pretty bad. And I wanted the real thing, so I went to a lot of swap meets selling stuff, and then I'd go around looking, and I bought them for hubcaps one at a time. I gave them to Bill up at Precision Plating in Quincy, and then he polished them and chromed the centers. I think I paid like $125 a piece for them hubcaps. And they're not worth that, but that's what I wanted.
Yep.
And that's what I did. That's another reason why it took 15 years. I had crazy ideas back when I was a kid.
He's going to be 80 in March 19th.
80 March. So.
Yeah,
You had that car about half your life then, right?
yeah. You ought to heard her when I drug it home.
It was in pieces.
Oh, man.
In pieces.
Yes,
Not
it
a
looked
fan.
like a piece of junk. It wasn't a car then.
I paid $600 for that car.
Wow.
Yeah,
What year was that, give or take?
56.
But
Oh,
he's not telling you it was
No, what
in
year did you
in the 80s. I sold paint, and I had 96 body shops. So I knew a couple hundred body men. So I had plenty of help with that car. Plenty of help. And there was nothing that we did that was shortcut. We tried to do what at that time was the best we could do. When they come from the factory, they was all screwed up. I mean, you know, they was overlapped and wouldn't fit. The trunk lids never fit. One of my shops told me, he says, take a washer and stick underneath the back bolt. And I said, what's that going to do? He said, that'll suck that trunk down on that side. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, okay. Bill Hanna. I went home and did it. Right down. I said, you got to be kidding me. Silly stuff, you know? The flames on that car was done by 3 different body men or painters.
Really?
I just passed it around, you know? Yeah, that's why it was painted in 2 different manufacturers. There's ghost flames on the mirrors. You probably didn't even know it. I helped lay them out and mask them. Flames are hard to mask. There's a lot of masking to do. It's a 67 Chevy van column. I wanted to use it because it had the key that wasn't in the column. It was in the dash, and I wanted to keep it original. I thought it looked neater. Bill Hanna put it in for me, and I was there helping him. It was one of my shops. And it touched the ceiling. And I says, how am I going to drive that? And he says, well, we're going to have to cut that down. And he did. He cut it down. I thought it was pretty neat. That guy was amazing. And then wide white walls I bought in Topeka, Kansas. And they made them tires for me. Back then, you couldn't buy them. Now you can buy them. But back when I was working on that car, they was expensive. Back then, like $600-700. I got 5 of them, and they're 14-inch. The car came with 15-inch, but I wanted 14-inch because that made it an inch lower. And I got a whole box of bolts and nuts, and I would take a DA and sand the top off the ridge and the number, and then I'd take each bolt and stick it on the buffer and polish it. It's got 1955 inserts on the dash where the aluminum insert is. It's got the little bow ties. I wanted bows, and 55 was the only year it had it.
Well, where'd you get the name Red Ryder?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never even...
No, I just thought of it. Back in the 50s, when you had a car and you customized it, you named it. I wanted to put a name on it, and I thought about it a long time, and I said, well, it's red, and I love red. And it's red on red, and it's long and lean. It's Red Ryder.
I thought you were colorblind already, or was that a joke?
No,
he
red.
is colorblind. All he can see is red.
I went to a friend of mine. He was a body man at one of the shops in Beardstown, and he did printing and stuff, lettering. And I told him I wanted him to put Red Ryder on it, and he said, "What kind of lettering?" I said, I don't know. What kind is there? And so he gave me a sheet, it's probably around there somewhere, that had about 8 or 10 different Red Riders written on it. And I picked one out, and I said, I want this one. So his name is on the back of his name is Beard. And he's got it on that pinstriping on the trunk, right down below. You see it where he signed it.
I'll have to look for that. I've never noticed.
Yeah,
So it was all done by hand, right?
yeah, oh yeah.
That's impressive.
It's a temperamental car, I'm going to warn you. But it has a good time when it goes. It likes to show off. I can tell you some stories.
They all are. Let's hear them.
Well, one time, me and Wayne, he had a Trans Am Firebird. We went to car shows together, and I had the trunk open, showing the trunk off. And we was getting ready to leave, and the trunk wouldn't shut. It wouldn't latch. I kept shutting down. I said, what the heck's wrong? Wayne says, Red Rider's not ready to go home yet. People oohing and ahhing over it. I said, we're going to go somewhere if you quit showing yourself. But
Set a mind its own.
no, I don't know. It's just, it's kind of weird. One reason why it took 15 years to build the cars is the money. Because everything you bought for it was $1,000,
Right.
you know. And I didn't have a lot of money. So I didn't take any money from my work. It's just money that I made extra. And I didn't get an appointment for the upholstery, and it was $1,650, which is dirt cheap now.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money then. And she asked me, she says, how much money you got saved for your interior? The car was done.
Right.
He kept putting that off because he didn't have the money.
I'm driving around with a blanket thrown over the seat. And I said, I don't know, a couple, 300. She said, just write a check for it.
Yeah, see, I was nice for
Yeah,
once.
for once. All of a sudden, she's seen that the car is going to be worth something, you know,
Yeah.
where you can go out and
why
drive
not
it.
finish it if you got it that close?
Yeah. So I had a lot of help from a lot of shops, and we was all friends. And they all helped me on it, and I'm proud of it.